This is Killswitch, and I'm interviewing Eldon McGuinness, creator of Booty Call and On Screen Alerts. Eldon, if you could introduce yourself to the people watching.
Hey everybody out there, all y'all Uyans. If you've ever been on the forums, or if you ever get around to hitting the store, you've probably seen my name a couple of times. Many scripts and hacks out there that I've put together, of course with the help of other people too. This is my son Judah hanging over my shoulder here. Figured I'll introduce him just to make sure everybody knows him too. You often might play a game with him online, such as Killswitch and myself have had the pleasure of doing. But yeah.
Disclosure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, well, we'll get into it, how you take care of him a little later. But,
Oh yeah.
what I'd like to ask you, is what I usually start all the interviews with. What were some of your influences when it comes to video games?
Man, some of my influences. I think some of the most influential games that I have played, as far as things that I really, really love, would have to be the American Final Fantasy 2 and 3, the American versions. I'm not sure what the numbering is for the Japanese version. I know it can be different depending on which one, but I know the American one it's 2 and 3. Um, I think those are probably two of my favorite all-time games that I just played and played and played until the cartridge just no longer worked. When your save game stops saving at that point, it gets a little frustrating. Um, yeah, I mean, Super Mario was always a favorite, but I mean, as far as a definite, like, this is what I want to do, it would have to be the Final Fantasy series.
Okay, some of my favorites too. Final Fantasy VII would be my favorite of them all so far.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, but
Seven was good. I kind of stopped playing after seven. I think eight was the one that introduced the draw points or something, and that got a little too far away from the originals, how I liked them, and I just kind of stopped at that point. So I haven't played myself eight or nine. I played 10 very slight for a little bit, but I haven't played any of the other ones really.
Well, for me, actually, it's a toss up between Final Fantasy VII and Fantasy Star 2. But like you, I haven't played the new ones. I actually
Mm,
own 13. It's still wrapped. I've had it for
nice.
3 years.
Was 13? What that was the online one, right?
It's a good question.
I think that one. I know there was one Final Fantasy they tried to go the whole online role playing game type thing. I can't remember if it was 13 or not.
think it was think it was before 13.
Oh, okay.
Not positive. I mean, like I said, never opened it, and that's
Yeah,
because I had the PS3, sold it within 6 months. I never even opened that.
gotcha.
It's kind of what brought me to the main subject of what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Um, for me, I saw the Ouya as a possible change in the market away from the games that were turning into movies. Because as you know, we have smaller games. Some are intensive, some are not, but they're like how games used to be. They were just games.
Yeah, they didn't turn into these big productions. Not to say that, games that have a big production behind them aren't good, but you tend to lose to something. It seems to become more and more, I guess for lack of a better way to say it, commercialized. It just seems to be less unique. It just becomes more of a steam process, stamping out the same thing over and over, almost American Idol-esque. We'll give you the same thing over and over and over and just act like it's new.
Well, since we're on the subject, what brought you over to Ouya?
Well, honestly, and I've told this to a number of people, including yourself, that what actually sold me on the Ouya initially was the fact that it ran XBMC. At the time, my home theater PC had died. I'm sorry, my PC, my main rig had died, so I repurposed my home theater box as my main PC, which left me in the lurch for a media box. So I did some looking online, and I came into this after the Kickstarter had ended, and they actually started selling them on Amazon and some of the other outlets. And I found out that it did XBMC, so I picked up a couple of them and just love it. I love that little box, man. As far as the development side of it, I didn't get into that till a little bit later. But that's what mainly brought me in was XBMC. The games that came with it, I just seen as kind of an extra. Even before I started to look into the emulator options and stuff, just the Bomb Squad, Meltdown. I think those are probably two of our absolute favorite games.
Yeah, well, we know about Bomb Squad and the little bomber over there.
Yeah, he loves Bomb Squad. That has to be hands down his favorite game.
And so and Super Mario World.
In Super Mario World. Yes.
Well,
Of course that.
I'm convinced that he cheats at Bomb Squad.
I know the feeling. I get my butt handed to me all the time playing against him, so I completely know the feeling.
Hey, he's pretty good. Uh, well, why don't you give us a little background on him since obviously he's part of this too in some way.
Oh yeah, definitely. We spoke before. I actually do programming as a side gig, at least on the Ouya side of it. I do some professional programming and web developing too. But I also homeschool my son, which, as anybody can tell you who's actually done it, is a full-time job in and of itself. All day long, you're trying to keep on task and keep things going. So at the end of the day, I have a little bit of time I can carve away to put into development of the applications I have currently. I also started working on a game that was going to be influenced by him, basically one of his, I guess you would say, mental creations on a Saturday morning that he came up with. Um, but yeah, it's very interesting. It takes a heck of a lot of time, but even with that time frame being compressed, if you can still carve out half an hour maybe here and there, you can actually get a lot done.
See, that was like the main purpose of starting all these interviews was to show people that there are real people behind these things, behind the apps, behind the games. It's not just someone sitting in a corporate office.
Yeah, it's just not a big game studio or something. And that's one of the great things about the Ouya is you really can be just any Joe Blow and put out something. You can put out a game or an application, it could be horrible, it could be great. You never know. People are finicky, but at least you have the ability to put something out there without investing, a huge amount of money on a development console or something of that nature.
Very true. But speaking of that, you came in through the app side instead of the game side. Uh, why don't you give us a little background on the apps that you do have available? Because you have two that are being sold now, plus all the other things that you've also done.
Right, definitely. Really, I came in on the app side because I seen a need for myself as far as with Booty Call. I definitely had a need for that application, just something to get me right into XBMC reliably, and well, it's named Cody now, but same difference to get me right into that, and also to deal with things such as pairing the controller because once you move away from the Ouya launcher, you run into a whole other subset of issues. So really, these applications became they came to be because of things I personally wanted, and it just so happens that aligns itself fairly well with what a lot of other people want too. On-screen alerts, for example, just came out of the need for me to basically not have to get off the couch and look at the phone. I loathe when I'm watching a TV show or playing a game or we're doing family movie night or something. It's very annoying to turn the phone down and be missing calls left and right. So it's much easier just to see like an alert on your TV as to who's calling or if somebody text messages you or any number of other important little things you can make pop up on your screen. It just makes your life a little bit easier, and that's one of those things that I love to do with programming is just make my life a little bit easier.
Good answer. But want to get into Booty Call a little more because
Oh,
you have the possibility of well, it's basically a launcher, but you also have the possibility of using it at game conventions and things. So, give us a little more on that.
yeah, definitely. Booty Call, like you said, it really is just a launcher. It's your default launcher. You can choose whatever application or game that you want to automatically start when the Ouya boots up or when you return using the exit menu. By doing that, it allows you to take a little bit of the guesswork as far as what's going to happen when your Ouya is operating. For example, my son, I have an Ouya set up for him in his room, and it has a lot of his little games and of TV shows, movies, things like that. But when his friends come over and they want to play games, I don't want them to have to bounce around between Kodi and Nostalgia and the Ouya launcher and things like that. So I just use it to lock them right into Nostalgia. Which is great because, it works great here, but it's also great for people who make arcade cabinets who want to boot right into Nostalgia. If you're at a game expo or something, if you're demoing your game, let's say you made the next great game and you're demoing it there, you can actually have your console boot right into the game. And if somebody exits the game unwittingly or whatever, it just boots them right back into the game again. So it's fairly, it's hands off, and it allows you to relax a little bit and understand that your Ouya, as long as they understand how to get to the exit option, they can get right back to the game in question.
That would be pretty useful with all these conventions that are going on.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, when you start it up, you have the option of choosing whatever application you want. So I mean, you could be doing multiple games. You could have just the one. You could be doing any number of things. So you just choose the one you want to start up, and it just keeps you in that loop. It makes it that much easier to function with.
Right. Did have a question on reroute, which, like, I don't root my console. There are many others who do. Would you say if anyone has a question, they should go to you? How would they contact you? Because these things do come up and people don't know what to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Reroute basically is a script that I put together. It utilizes a couple of free applications that are out there. Unfortunately, I don't know the names of the individuals who made the applications. I would be more than happy to say their names right now, but I don't know it off the top of my head. But I do know the name of their applications, so I will say those. It has some things in it, such as Universal Init.d, which is a great application for starting things up when your Ouya boots. There's a script in there, Supercharger 8, which deals with cleaning out cached files and things of that nature. And it also installs a cron daemon onto your Ouya, so that way you can have things run periodically on their own, which is great for cleaning out the cache. You set that to run every day or every couple hours if you want, if you constantly use the Ouya. It also, as you know, gives you root access, which basically allows you to create applications or use applications that need to have that root access on your Ouya. A great example of that is Universal Init.d. If you have an application that needs to run as root and you give it to Universal Init.d, well, without that super user access or root access, it wouldn't be able to do its job. It would just come back with an error, can't run this, I don't have permission. As far as contacting, I mean, everything I release, I try my best to make sure I put my email address, that's my actual email address, on there. The same with my website, any of the GitHub postings I use, I try to have my email address in there just to make it really easy for people to get in contact with me. And my email address, just so everyone here has it in case they do have a question about anything I say during this interview, is support@progressivethink.in. That's also my website, progressivethink.in. You can go on there. I have lots of articles about all different Ouya stuff. But yeah, that's a great way to contact me, and I try to get back as soon as possible.
I usually let people plug all their stuff at the end, right?
Well, it's a contact thing, so I figured I would get that out there up front, just in case people want to start typing their email now with all their questions. They can just, at the end hit send and, give me a deluge of emails that I then have to reply to, unfortunately.
Well, that's always good that they could contact you because that's one of the great things about the Ouya community. I won't call it close, but you can talk to each other. There's some way to contact
people. It's very easily accessible.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as you know, I get PMs all day, emails all day. I talk to pretty much everyone in the community. If they have a
Yes.
question, they can just ask.
Yes. Yeah, and that really is great because, especially with, I know the word open and the Ouya is come under fire back and forth, but, with it being such an open console in comparison to everything that's out there, it's important to have places where you can ask questions and get information because without that, the openness really isn't worth diddly. If you don't have somewhere you can get information, it can be as open as you want, but you can't do anything with it without that information, without that tutorial or guide or walkthrough to get you going down the right path.
That's very true. And if you ever need anything, the community pretty much has come to the aid of almost everybody who's asked.
Oh yeah, I mean myself, the with booty call and on-screen alerts, you've offered translations for me. So I have a number of the members on the forums, which I forever thankful for that because I still have more people offering translations for languages that the Ouya unfortunately doesn't even support. So I'm trying to build in some translation options for that. But I mean the community really is a good like a giant wealth of information. If you have a question chances are either somebody knows the answer or can get in contact with somebody who does to get it for you.
And like you said, people jump up to help. I mean, for my game, I have, I believe it's 10 voiceovers, maybe 11, and two artists, a music guy, a second programmer. So the community has been a very big help. And I thought I would
Yeah.
only get like two voiceovers.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised, especially with translations, the number of people that contacted me, because that's something that, not that it takes a long time to do, but it does take time to do correctly. So, I mean, and a lot of people don't want to give their time to do something like that just freely or even at a reasonable price sometimes, especially with the new market that's coming open, the China market. I've been looking into simplified Chinese, and a lot of people are willing to do it if the price is right, which, generally is not right for me considering the profit and returns that you get out of the game sales. It would almost put me back before I had released anything. So
Hmm.
it's kind of rough.
Well, since you brought up China, what are your feelings on Ouya moving to China? Not,
My feelings on that are the more the merrier. The more markets they can get themselves into, the better it is for developers. I mean, at the end of the day, the developers are going to have to look at the terms of those agreements to see if they are agreeable to them. Like we were talking about the other day, the percentages and whatnot. It may turn out to be something that they're not interested in, but I'm sure a number of people will be, just because of the sheer number of people.
just want to correct what I said there. People, I did not say Ouya is moving to China. They,
Oh,
well, I did say that, but that is not what I meant.
not what you meant. Yes, they are moving into the Chinese market. They are getting their store into China. They are not relocating their
Exactly.
headquarters.
Do not want to start any rumors. We have enough of that already.
Oh, yes. Yes, this is true.
Well, and since we're on that subject, what do you think of everything that's going on with all these fake rumors, people saying Ouya's being sold, all these other things?
Well, with the whole rumor thing, there's always going to be rumors no matter what the product is. I mean, unfortunately, and I've talked with a number of people on this, the real issue just comes down to um, lack of a definitive answer on a lot of things, When it comes to like, is the Ouya for the question that I hear the most, and I'm just so out of my gourd from hearing it, is the Ouya 2 coming out? When is it coming out? Oh man, I wish I could stop hearing that question. It'll come out when it comes out, if it comes out. They said that they would. The Ouya seems to be relatively popular. So, I mean, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't come out with an Ouya 2. Now, it may be down the road a little bit. It might be within a week. Nobody knows. And, Ouya's fairly adamant, it seems, to keep that under wraps, which is their choice. But, it does leave plenty of room to breed rumors. It's one of those two-edged swords. If you want to be quiet about things, well, you are going to have a lot of rumors. The issues with the OTA. When as soon as somebody says the next OTA is coming out, everyone wants to go ape about it. Another great one is the Ouya being out of stock. What does that mean for Ouya? Why are they out of stock? Why would anybody want to do that? Again, there's been no definitive answer as to why they're out of stock. Just yes, we know we're out of stock. We're working on getting some more. So, I mean,
Yeah.
but again, with no stock being available, all they can do is keep saying that they're working on getting some more. It does leave plenty of room for people to say, I wonder if they're going out of business or they have money problems, whatever the case may be. And I think that's unfortunate. That's just the main issue when it comes to the rumors and whispers that you hear in the hallways type thing. Is just that right there, lack of a definitive answer at the end of the day.
It's very true, and it's something that I don't understand either. I mean, you have a decent product. It could be so much better if there was a little marketing, a little more fighting back against some of this stuff. Just we're trying to support them, so give us just a little so we can keep pushing that support. Because if you say nothing, what can we say back to whoever's making all these comments?
Yeah, and I mean, I get the back and forth thing. They don't want to consume their time with replying to every, thing that is said about them because that would get fairly that would consume a lot of time very quickly. But I mean, there are some basic things that they should really, my personal opinion, of course, that should be addressed fairly quickly. Like the out of stock thing. There should be like an official, hey, yeah, we ran out of stock. We didn't forecast the numbers to be high enough. It's understandable. Nobody's perfect. Accountants make mistakes all the time. So do any other entrepreneur has made mistakes any other time. It's understandable. But for nothing to be said, why are you out of stock? Well, little gremlins took the Ouya. That's what happened. That's what I heard. Well, I heard the Ouyas grew wings. Those are all perfectly valid because there's nothing to refute it. There's no other side of the argument. I mean, they sound absurd, but, prove me wrong. You can't because no one's saying anything. And the same thing like the Reading Rainbow thing, that nothing coming out until just recently with that, and that had been so long, it was just mind-blowing that nothing was said, from either party, whomever's fault it was, there was just nothing said. It was a void of just nothingness, which really is a shame because that is perfect bedding ground for a rumor factory.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. The whole out of stock thing, it's, 4 months now? So that one is hard to explain no matter what the situation is. Especially when you have to miss Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe New Year's or whatever else people would give gifts for around that time.
Yeah, those are the prime selling times. So, I mean, it's just amazing that for all the times to be out of stock, that would be the time that they ran out of stock. It just seemed very, suspect to a lot of people. And I talked to a number of developers, and they were saying the same thing. This points to, as far as I'm concerned, this either points to a lack of funding or maybe a going out of business type situation. And I'm like, well, I mean, if you look at it, it does make sense. It could lead to that. It could. Those indicators are there, but there's no definitive word either way. Again, no definitive word. So your guess is as good as mine. Again, maybe the Ouyas all flew wings or got wings and flew off the shelves. Who knows?
And as you know, I'm part of some of the members that fight back against some of this stuff. I mean, some people will say things like fanboying and whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the facts. People want to believe things like the Verge article. Ouya's dead. Well, it's clearly not dead. There's games coming out. People are still developing. Just nothing's coming out of Ouya Inc. If someone heard something from them, then it would change.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like I said, it's you kind of want to hear something, but then sometimes there are issues with some of the things that do come out, like the percentage thing the other day, mismatching numbers and stuff. But again, those are inevitable. It's going to happen. But something is better than nothing, and especially if you're quick to fix any misquoting or so incoherencies with numbers and whatnot. As long as those things can be fixed quickly, there's no harm done. So it's better to, like you said, to say something than to not say anything.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been trying to get across. Just say something, anything, create a fluff story, whatever it is, just to change the whole dynamic.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I would love, personally, I'd love to see some more of those yellow badges show up on the forum. I mean, I know it's not officially Ouya's forum, but I mean, I would love to see some more of those yellow guys pop in. Mr. J pops in all the time, and he's always good to have a good conversation with.
Actually,
Jared, nobody knows who that is. That's Jared.
there are it's probably about 10. There are several
I
members
think
there.
the only one that I've actually, well, let me put it this way. The only one that I've seen in the chat, I guess I should say, is Mr. J. In the forums, I do see that Chris G guy we were talking about earlier with the OS issues and whatnot, the OTA issues. But I mean, other than that, I rarely really see anybody. But then again, maybe I'm just not looking in the right posts, or maybe they're getting buried too quickly or something. But those are the only two that I really see. Now I hear from, you get to hear from a very wide range of people during their dev hours and whatnot, which is great. But I think on a regular, that's like once a week. I think it'd be interesting just to see, maybe if they took a different person a day of the week or something and just hung out for a little bit in a regular hour block or something on the forum, just to say, hey, it would be interesting. It would be nice to see actual Ouya representation there, especially since that's one of the biggest, I guess you'd say, community areas that the Ouya has.
That's an interesting idea.
Kind of like a daily office hours, and it doesn't even need to be the same person. You could like have your staff rotating it, this guy, this guy, this guy, maybe 1 or 2 hours, but it doesn't even need to be all day. It's not like it's a full-time job, It'd just be interesting to know that if you had a question for Ouya, besides email, because again, email is great, and we talked about this, but if you ask a question and get an answer, that question and answer is now forever in your inbox and Ouya's inbox, and nobody else will ever see that unless one of you two decide to make it known to the public, which is a shame because a lot of people ask some very good questions and it just stops at their inboxes. No one ever sees it.
I don't know.
So with it being on the forums, it offers more of an archiving type setup. You can always search and see what you can find.
That's true. And you brought up an interesting idea. I don't know if it can really work, because then you enter the, let's call it NDA territory, where, there's things that can't be said, and then someone's going to keep asking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. That could end up being an issue. But then again, there's nothing stopping somebody from is and just spamming those questions all day long, like you see all the time. When is the next OTA? What is it going to have in it? Yes, we all would like to know, but nothing's being said, so can we please move on from the subject? So, I mean, you're going to get the questions either way, and, I mean, I guess it'd just have to be one of those things. If the Ouya folks were in there, they'd have to just, stick to their guns. Look, this is a future product. We're working on it. As soon as we know something for sure, you will too.
Possible. But you have given me an idea that I may run by somebody.
Hey. It's always
Because we do actually have a bunch of yellows on the forum. It's just customer service, QA. They may not be the people that people are looking for.
That's understandable. Yeah. And I mean, the dev hours really is great for developers. I can't think of a time when I've wanted like straight just like a developer answer right away that I didn't really just wait for developer hours, honestly. I think most of the things that I've routed to the forum question-wise and posting would probably be customer service related or maybe billing related, if that. But then again, we get into the area of with the developer hours, that's a very short block of time when people can actually not only ask questions, but even submit and have their questions answered, as we talked about that. A number of people on the forum I talked to on that one was just that's an issue that I think is there. Because again, you can email Tim or you can email the dev support address, but then you end up with that issue, like I was saying. that gets buried in your inbox and never to be seen again unless either you or the person who replied wants to see it. And a lot of times, if it's a technical or a developer issue, if one developer is asking the question, it's highly likely another person is going to have the same question down the road or something similar that your answer may very well answer. Like the time when I was having that credit card issue, as far as trying to get it to authorize and it wasn't authorized even though it was a zero charge and all that craziness. I went back and forth with Tim and I was checking things and I found some things on the internet, not on the Ouya forum or on the Ouya developer site, just on some random site where I guess somebody had emailed Ouya support and Ouya support said try this. But without a central repository for that type of information, it just makes it very difficult to find. And if it was on the forums or even just a knowledge base or something. I know Ouya does have a knowledge base to some effect, but it's not the most what's the word I want to say? It's not the most efficient way to search, you know what I mean? When it comes to their knowledge base, it doesn't seem to have that fleshing out of developer type issues at least that I've seen. Maybe I'm just the odd man out and come up with weird stuff all the time. Who knows?
Oh, that's possible too.
I have to be
But
realistic about it. I might just be the weird one with all the weird issues.
but as you know, we do try to get things onto the forum, try to somehow keep it organized, open sections for people to post all their things. Just for some reason, some sections just aren't being used as they should.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, and I mean, you're always going to run into that with a forum, but I don't know. I don't know. That can be very
Well,
rough getting people to put things in the right spots and keeping things organized. That's almost a full-time job in and of itself.
yeah. Let's not go in a full time job on and organizing that forum. Um, yeah, full time job keeping some people in check, not naming any names. Hi, Chimega. Um, but it's a good community. Ouya has provided something here that I'd like to see it get bigger and not just be like that niche product that's $99. If it's not there, you're going to go buy something else. Want to see it become that $99 thing that you have to have in your house.
Oh yeah,
But,
oh yeah.
there are issues.
Well, I mean, I definitely agree with you, and I think that the Ouya really definitely could be that type of product. It's just a matter of, honestly, one thing that I've been pushing and I'd love to see is more apps, more things that the Ouya can do. We know it's a game box. Everybody knows it's a game box. But there are more than just games that little box could do. Cody is a perfect example. I mean, that is just an awesome media center setup, and that runs on the Ouya. Can you get that on PS4? Can you get that on the Xbox One? Good luck. But I mean, it runs, and it runs great on the Ouya. Other applications, like on-screen alerts, plug my application again. It is it's a great thing to have. Like when we were doing the multiplayer thing the other day, I had it pulling live tweets to where as I'm playing the game, people are tweeting with the hashtag OuyaCast48, and it's just showing up on my screen as I'm playing. Yeah, that's great. That's a great thing to have. You could be hosting a live game and just say, okay, what game would you guys like to play next? And people start tweeting, and you just pick a game out of the tweets that show up on your screen. No fuss, no muss. You move on. That's a great thing that can be made. I seen one the other day, and I was telling my wife about it, and we had a good laugh about it. There was a drinking game on there, and you actually go in, put in your body weight and what you'll be drinking, and it calculates like your body, your blood alcohol level and stuff like that. I was like, that is hilarious. That is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Will you see that on an Xbox? Probably not. You probably won't see it on a PlayStation either, due to like liability issues. The big companies tend to not want to touch anything like that. But I was like, this is hilarious. But again, applications I think are something that largely just gets ignored on the Ouya, and not saying that Ouya ignores them. It just there doesn't seem to be not a desire, but there doesn't seem to be a group that's sitting down, coming up with fresh ideas. We had talked about, and I was talking to Ouya Central about was they have the free the games fund, but you don't ever see anything about applications. What about the guy who comes up with the next great application that the Ouya operating system could even integrate into itself to make the operating system even better. Why settle for having it on one or two devices if it's a great option and the only thing that's putting people off is a little bit of change? Why not, offer developers who come up with great apps some sort of a volume buyout type thing? Say, look, we love your application. We see the feedback from the people. We're willing to offer you X amount of money in order to just put it on every Ouya console. That would definitely be an influence and a positive way to get application developers out there. Now, there is kind of the issue of stepping on toes at that point. You don't want you want to come out with an application, but then you don't want Ouya to step on your toes and clone your application and then make your application obsolete. So there would have to be some sort of there'd have to be a trust type thing going on there that they're not going to just take your idea and run with it and just leave you out on the marketplace as a redundant idea. But I mean, I don't think Ouya would do that personally. They've been pretty straightforward with the developers, so I mean, I don't really see that as an issue. But I think that's something that definitely should be looked at is the lack of, drive for application developers for the Ouya. I mean, I get it, it's a console, but there are a lot of things that you could definitely do with that little box,
I don't know if it's more I don't know if it's on their side. It may just be that these app developers aren't looking at it as a place to put their apps. Because if you look in some of the apps you have, YouTube, Ouya did that. Pandora, Ouya did that. So it may just be lack of these companies actually doing it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've noticed too, a lot of the apps that seem to come out of it are media centric, which I mean, media is great. Everybody loves media. Everybody would love to see a Ouya native Netflix application, an Ouya native. What is there? I don't. Do they have a Hulu application yet? I don't think they do. An Ouya native one. I think you can install one from like the Google Store or something, sideload it. But everybody would love to see those things. But even moving beyond the media mindset into just things that are useful, like we talked about, chat and messaging, email. Like almost into the operating system type integration things, such as that overlay, being able to hook into that and allow people to bring up applications like overlays for walkthroughs for games. That would be an excellent application that somebody could give away the application but sell a subscription to this library of walkthroughs if they wanted to. And why stop at just Ouya games? The Ouya does emulation. You could have a huge library of NES, SNES, Genesis, all those game systems walkthroughs for games that you just hit your Ouya home button twice, go to whatever the name of the application, maybe Walkthrougher or something, who knows, Walkthrough. Click on that and you pull up the game you want, flip to the page you want, you can see on your screen. Hit A to get out of it, go right back to your game. No need to switch back and forth between programs. Try to save your game, switch to your program, come back in, load your game, hope that you didn't lose anything. There's so many different little things that can be done. Now, granted, some of that does require Ouya's cooperation, especially integration into that menu, but it's doable. It's definitely doable, and I think a little bit of massaging, I guess I should say, on Ouya's end would definitely make a lot more of these type of applications possible, and also keep in mind, take it out of their pockets. It would take it out of them having to take responsibility of these applications. Nobody wants to be the person who wants to be responsible for a messaging chat type setup unless you're familiar with it. And that's something that Ouya would have to take on if they wanted some sort of a social interaction. And again, they could achieve that and offload it to a developer who would basically have their own application doing it, and have it integrated into that menu again if they offered a way to hook into that. There's two things right there, and all Ouya has to do is offer one hook to allow it, basically. One way to integrate into the operating system to allow those two ideas right there. And that's, those are just two things that had come off the top of my head during the time I've been talking about different little things. So, who knows what everybody else is going to come up with.
So you just randomly came up with those two ideas.
Huh? Those were the two that I've come up with. Well, and honestly, they came up with one in Dev Hours not too long ago. They were talking about the ordered pizza one for the folks that live in the States. It was easy for them to Oh, there was who was it? Who was it? Was it Jared was talking about it maybe, or maybe it was Bob? I can't remember. On Dev Hours they were talking about it. So where wouldn't it be hilarious if there was you could hit the Ouya button, order pizza, and because there's actually I guess an Android app that allows you to do that, so it's definitely doable. You could order your
Yeah,
pizza, have your pizza show up at your door, the normal pizza that you order. And again, that's the same hook. That's all they would have to allow is that same hook that I was just mentioning. So there's three. I feel like the count at this point, one, two, But I mean,
see,
it's
and
really, I get really excited about some of those things because it's really, not to put it down and say that it's simple, it's simplistic, but it's something that really definitely could be done and is very versatile. It has a lot of things that could be made from it.
so well, the things you're talking about could be like Android has Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, all those others. I know on Twitter they're friends with Eat24. They can make an app or something. So they are possible.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and
And
to
I mean,
all you
somebody could even
watching,
turn around and pull those together, say, look, guys, I want to make an application that lets people order food quickly on the Ouya. Maybe you're sitting there playing a game. You go to the Ouya menu and I say, what's for lunch or what's for dinner or whatever. Click on it and it brings up a list of restaurants. Click your restaurant, click what you want, boom, 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 submit. You already have your credit card information there, send. 20, 30, 40 minutes later, your food shows up at your door. I mean, granted, you will have to get off your couch to actually get the food, but I mean, what do you do? I guess you could yell, come on in, but
we'll have to maybe we'll have to start a thread on the forum, try to get people involved, see what type of apps they may want.
yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's something that gets a lot of a lot of people come up with ideas, but it doesn't ever seem to go anywhere. So I don't think that there's that drive for them like there are for games. You know what I mean?
It's true, but someone may pick it up and run with it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But see, you just gave an example of why I tell the members of the forum if their Ouyas start glowing red, it's your fault.
There
If
you
they
go.
come alive, that's the man right there.
There you
Now
go.
you know what he looks like.
There you go.
Well, Eldon, I really don't have any more questions for you at this point. I don't know if Little Man wants to get on, say anything before we go.
Want to say something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. What would you like to say?
I made different programs in my lifetime when I wasn't in school.
You made different programs in your lifetime?
When Ouya was around, and when I was like in my early five,
In my early fives.
when Ouya was around.
When Ouya was around, yeah? You
Yeah.
made different little programs? And you want to be a programmer too?
Sure.
Sure.
And when I was in school, I made System Hawk function.
Oh, good.
You cannot run it, but it protects the Ouya.
It protects the Ouya. Oh.
It protects the Ouya, so so for example, if it like crashes or if it does things that we don't need, then
So you'd say you like the Ouya, right? Would you say you like the Ouya?
yeah.
Yeah. Would you Would you say what would you say your favorite game is on the Ouya? Your favorite game, like if you had no other game to play, what game would you pick?
Oh, I can't even pick that one.
You can't even pick one.
There's two that are my favorite: Bomb Squad and Super Mario.
Bomb Squad and Super Mario. Well, there you go. He's a man that has very few needs, apparently. Bomb Squad and Super Mario, and he's good to go.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
If I run those programs, I'll be free to go that way. I'll run out, still going. Without those for like 8 ways, I'll go down.
You would. Wow. Well, there you go.
And guess what? I made System on function. Because I love the Ouya. I want to get protected. I want to use it even when I'm a grown up.
Cool. Sounds great.
I use System Hawk function. It sounds like a good idea. You should all use those. Those are good programs for you.
I should rent him out to some of the Kickstarter people, man. Get some advertisement going on here. Listen, let him do your advertising. You'll be good. All right, well, how about you say goodbye, everybody out there?
It is just really good for you. It is really nice for you.
It is a really great application. He's got to go though.
Goodbye, everybody in the world, like in Virginia.
In Virginia? Wow. That's everybody in the world. They're in Virginia?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or in Mexico or Africa, wherever you live.
Wherever you live, okay. Well, you go have fun, okay? I'll be out in a second.
Okay.
He's something.
Well, folks, that's Judah, the guy who's going to take over the world after your Ouya's come alive.
There you go. The next Skynet, as you say.
Yep, the Ouya fly.
Skynet Jr., right there.
There you go.
Well, Eldon, thank you for your time. I guess we'll see you on the forum, running out your ideas as usual.
As usual, man. I just, got to do something with them. Can't leave them bouncing in your head. You'll go insane.
If you have anything left to plug, even though you've pretty much done that, here's your chance.
Well, I mean, I can't think of anything myself, man. I mean, we went over booty calling on-screen alerts, All I can really say is, if you guys have ideas or anything that you'd like to see in any of the applications, or even an idea for an application, hit the forums, say something. I'm all about, putting together applications that are interesting. I still have my fingers working on what did Schizo call it? A booty on the side. That was a name that he came up with. So I'm still trying to work on that in my spare time. Might hope to get that up there soon. But yeah, just make sure you post them on the forum, guys. Nobody's ever gonna find them if you don't post them.
Oh, just thought of something. I shouldn't be the one bringing this up. Eldon has a bundle available right now with on-screen alerts and booty call.
Yes, you can get Modder's Delight, and it is a permanent bundle. It's not going anywhere. I wanted to make it a little bit cheaper for people who want to buy multiple applications from me. I was going to go a different route with it, but I decided bundles was just a lot easier. And you save 20% from the total price of purchasing both of them. So instead of buying on-screen alerts for $1.99 and booty call for $2.99, you get it for a total of $4.
All right, there you go. That was Eldon McGuinness, and this is Killswitch signing off, and that's Skynet Jr., a.k.a. Judah. Bye.
Take care.
Take care. Our bundles are free for you. Just call us if you need something that is helpful. Okay.